I'm Tom, and you'll have to forgive me, people. I'm on the move, so I'm having to film in my car again, but I didn't want to miss an upload. Let's talk about Don Charles reconnecting with Daniel Dubois. A lot of people are saying he's left Don Charles, he's left and he's rejoined Don Charles because he just realised Don Charles was a better trainer. He was a shit trainer. That's not the case, I don't think. I think he just realised that he wasn't the top dog in Tony Sims' gym. I think he just realised that Tony Sims and his dad weren't going to get on that well. That actually it would have been better for him to stay with Don Charles. I think that's probably a good decision, by the way. But I think he just realised that the reality of the situation is Tony Sims has a lot of people in the gym that you could say are more well-established in that gym than Daniel Dubois was. And I think that didn't sit right with Daniel Dubois. Let me put this up, see if that makes a difference. No, it doesn't. Can I get it to... No, it's not going to happen, is it? I'm trying to get rid of that. Let's do that. Oh, he's not really done it. Sorry. Anyway, yeah, I think he's just realised that the reality of the situation is in Tony Sims' gym, there's a lot of other big boxers, and he wouldn't have been top dog. He wouldn't have been the main guy, which is not something I think Daniel Dubois is willing to sacrifice. I think that's not something he's willing to change. He's willing to budge on. I think he wants to be top guy. I think he also wants his dad to be working closely with his trainer, his gym, his boxing life. I think he's ready. I don't think he's ready to be in a training camp in a setup where his dad wasn't a fan of it. Well, his dad wasn't a fan of the trainer, but also the trainer wasn't a fan of his dad. I think those two things go hand in hand. I think Daniel Dubois leaving is largely because his dad was like, this isn't working, this isn't the best guy for you. I can't be the main head honcho in this, and I want to be, but also I want you to be the sole focus of attention for this trainer, and you're not that. Tony Sims is. Sorry, Tony Sims has other fighters. I think that's the reality of the situation. I partly don't think this is a good play for Dubois, because the reality of it is, what you're doing is you're not treating a coaching setup with the respect it deserves. Coaching setups isn't something you should be bouncing to and fro. Like, they need to get an understanding of you. You need to get an understanding of them. I think you need to have it, treat it with a certain amount of respect that I don't think he's treating it with at the moment. I don't think he's spending enough time with trainers in the right way to be able to make an informed decision of where he should be. Now, ultimately, I'm not privy to what's going on in these camps. I don't know what is happening and what isn't happening. But what I do know is when you bounce around trainer to trainer to trainer, to me, it shows a lack of contentment. I mean, if you left Don Charles in the first place, there was obviously some issues there. And now you've gone back to that. So it looks like a lack of stability, a lack of belief in your trainer, but perhaps a lack of ability in yourself. And I wonder how much of that plays part in your mind. If you don't fully believe in the coaching setup you've got, then that probably isn't a very good sign. But maybe he does. Maybe, to play devil's advocate, I don't think this, when he went to Tony Sims, it made him realise, oh no, actually, being with Don Charles was really good. It was really good for me. I felt good in that. So maybe it's a bit of a mix. I just don't particularly like it. It makes me, again, see the reasons why Caroline left the dad. Why Caroline is now, who, by the way, has her own issues, but why Caroline now has her own little setup, her own little team, and isn't part of the Dubois setup, and her dad isn't part of the Caroline show. It makes me see why. Because I think there's a lot of issues there around stemming from the dad that unfortunately Daniel isn't able to see or acknowledge or accept to the same extent that Caroline did. And I think that's an issue. But I also think that being with Don Charles is good for Daniel Dubois. When they first left, I was like, you shouldn't have left Don Charles. Don Charles is a good trainer for you. I really thought that. I just don't think, when you've made that decision, you've made the decision. That's kind of my opinion. And I think Dubois has a lot of mental weaknesses, and I don't think this is necessarily going to help that or get rid of that or fix that. He's got a lot of mental weaknesses, and I'm interested to see how this does affect that. Where does he go from here? Does it get better? Does he finally accept and settle where he is with the team and the coach that he's got? Or, I say finally settled, he was settled, right? But do you know what I mean? Or is it going to, as I said, make him question it even more and think, I wasn't happy with this is why I left, and now I'm back here. Was this the right decision? And almost second guess his second guess. Is that going to happen? I think Don Charles wants praise. I don't think he got much praise for Dubois. I think he wants praise for this. I think that's part of the reason why they perhaps split, and he's been doing the rounds lately. I think he feels a bit disrespected by the whole situation, and he wants proper praise and to be recognised. That could be having an impact, but ultimately I think it's a bit of a weird dynamic where his dad wants ultimate control over all of this. And that's my thoughts on other people. Your thoughts on all this in the comment section down below. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and other stuff works, people. Peace.